Welcome to Power Hour, where the editors of Power Sports Business interview the movers and shakers of the power sports industry. Okay, everybody, I'm Brendan with Power Sports Business, and today we're here with Luis Rojas from Keeway and Benelli, and we're going to kind of catch up to date with all things Keeway and kind of get the background and the history of the brand and where they're going. So, Luis, nice to meet you virtually here, and thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get here? I know you're relatively new.
I'm relatively new at Keeway and Benelli. I've been here, or at Keeway America, I guess I should say. I've been here just a couple months. I came on as the sales manager. Before this, I took a little time off, and before that, I was with Tucker Power Sports or Tucker Rocky, however you remember it, for 16 years.
Right.
So
I still call it Tucker Rocky, and it's
I did until the very end.
Yeah, even with the turn 14 thing, it doesn't roll off the tongue like Tucker Rocky, and even when so you've been around you've been in a few dealers in your time.
And then I worked in dealerships before that. It's just so long ago these days, it's hard to remember.
Right. No, I hear you. So tell me a little about Keeway America and, just looking at the history of the brand. I know you guys, it basically started off in Hungary, in Budapest.
Correct.
How did this come about?
So the Keeway Group is a global distributor, motorcycle distributor. Also manufactured scooters for a long time. A lot of the customers that we're talking to these days remember the Keeway scooter days, are very excited that we're back. The way you guys will know Keeway or who Keeway is, Keeway America now is the distributor for Benelli, the exclusive distributor for Benelli and Keeway in the US. Keeway jointly owns, in 2005, Keeway and QJ purchased Benelli.
Okay.
We talked about earlier, being manufactured in Shanghai or outside of Shanghai. However, we still own the facilities in Pesaro, and we do some R&D and design in those facilities. And then we have another facility in Barcelona, and we actually recently acquired Morbidelli, which I'm sure you're familiar with that name as well.
Yeah.
Acquired,
that's a whole nother one that
we just acquired
failed to mention there, but yeah, that's another big one.
Right, we just acquired them. They also, come from Pesaro, but we'll be building they'll be headquartered completely in not in Barcelona, I'm sorry, in Bologna, in Italy. So we'll leverage that facility as well, and then you'll see that brand come under the Keeway America line as well as it comes into the US.
Okay, so you'll market that as Morbidelli then?
Correct. We acquired it through a company that we own called MVP, and it will be completely Morbidelli will be the brand name of it. MVP will still exist on the logos and as the foundation of that union, but it will be branded completely Morbidelli in the market here in the US.
And they'll be built by QJ then. QJ is or they're going to be built in Italy.
They will not be built by QJ. We don't have so that relationship with QJ is specifically on the Benelli line. We'll use some other partners, and we're not exactly sure where that entire lineup's going to be. We haven't exactly released all that information, so
Gotcha.
we'll have some other partners. However, we also are working on our own facilities in China, where some of our stuff will be manufactured in-house by our facilities. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Keeway has its own facilities as well then.
It does, yeah. And one of them I think is complete. We're working on another. Yeah.
Because it's been a little, and again, we were just talking about it, it's been a little confusing to understand the whole Benelli situation, and that is they had an importer, right? And then now you guys are taking it in-house, basically. So
correct. So Benelli, so we were being distributed in the US by a distributor here, and we decided that it was probably in the best interest of the brand, take it in-house and to make this a full factory effort, if you will. So Keeway America, like I said, Keeway Group is one of the owners with QJ. They still have that relationship. QJ still manufactures. Keeway, distributes and markets, and we're here set up in Frisco, Texas, local. Everything you need is here. We've got a warehouse in the back with some units. We've got another warehouse on the East Coast. We've got sales support, parts support, technical support. We've got a warehouse full of parts back here. I mean, we're completely set up here to support the dealer from this location. So
Yeah.
we're a local factory support now, if you will.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's the advantage too, is like you can have all the support. You need that US arm to really support the dealers and have the parts and the units go out, handle any kind of warranty stuff, and it's too hard to try to manage that from, we've seen other brands try to manage stuff from overseas, and it just ultimately seems like it doesn't work out,
Right.
So, I feel like the more you have that foothold in the US and with this kind of market, especially because the US is different than, you guys do scooters too, which in the rest of the world is like huge, right?
Yeah, even motorcycles.
Yeah.
This is a very different market. A lot of I talk to people from other parts of the world, and motorcycles and scooters are necessities. Somebody might buy a motorcycle scooter because they have to have it and they don't own a car. Here it's a toy. It's a luxury. It's a lifestyle. It's completely different here. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I was in Vietnam a few years back with a motorcycle helmet company, and one of the girls that was kind of giving me a tour around the city. I was in Hanoi. She's touring. She's like, I've never driven a car. She was like in her 30s. She's like, I'm afraid of cars. They scare me. She's like, I've only ridden scooters.
Right.
That's how so it's sort of like that blew my mind in a lot of ways. I'm like, God, if I could even get my wife to get on a scooter, you know, but it's just like, yeah, the thought process is like cars are scary, motorcycles, scooters are not. So if we could
Right.
only flip that here,
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
We'd be doing really well.
we would for sure. Okay, so with Keeway now, Keeway America, you've got some new products in the pipeline here that are already in production, already out. I know, like, and then on the Benelli side, you've had a couple of pretty successful ones. I know that little TNT 135 has been a pretty good seller. I see them around town here where I
Right.
am in Ohio.
Absolutely. The TNT does really, really well. We've got a current promotion going on with it. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that here, but we've got a current
Yeah, it's
a referral and rebate program that consumers are willing to check out. So that's a great little seller. We've got a pretty robust lineup. We're still working on getting some of those units into the United States. We had a little hiccup with EPA, and we're working on getting some of those units into the United States now. But
okay.
it's okay. We're working through it, and I think as the rest of that lineup trickles in, and like you said, we have some new stuff coming. We have the Morbidelli line that's coming. Our scooter line is fairly complete with Keyway. However, we're going to
Share the screen here a little bit, but yeah, just to show some of the 302, which this is the 302S, which is Benelli, this is a Benelli, and then
correct.
you
Yeah,
have a Keyway V302, which is which we'll get to in a second, but
sure.
it looks like Benelli. You've got quite a few in the Benelli lineup, especially some of the adventure touring type bikes. I think are going to be big hits
Sure,
when they get here.
the 702 and the 702X have been highly anticipated. We have those in the works at the moment, also in the EPA process. This is a brand new model coming into the United States, so this one's taking a little longer to get in. The process
Okay.
is just taking a little longer, but you should see it by the end of the year. It's gonna. I mean, we had the sample bike out at MotoGP, just like tremendous feedback.
Oh yeah.
People are excited about it. People are waiting for it. So we're really excited about that model.
I think that 700 is right in the sweet spot of what an adventure. It's not too big, like I mean, if you're a really big guy, like I've got a buddy who's like over 6 foot, pretty big dude. He can ride the BMWs, the GSs, and the 1100 or whatever,
Right.
1200. Those are big bikes. A guy
They
like
are.
me gets on one. It's like I don't want to ride on the dirt with this thing. It'll.
Right. And
But
then
yeah, I mean, I think.
if anybody's very familiar with the 500 version, it's a similar platform, but it's just very refined version of the 500.
Yeah, yeah. And
A
the
little bit
500
more.
is pretty sweet as well.
Right, right. A little more attractive seat height. I'm a short inseam guy. So the 700 honestly is a little friendlier than the 502 for me.
Oh, is it?
And it is, yeah, it is
Wow,
by
that's good to
it's
know.
and it's substantial, yeah. And then just the power, the increase in power is really displacement.
Yeah,
It's a no-brainer. The 702 is going to be the way to go.
right, right. But I think there'll be still a strong market for the five. Some people just
Oh,
don't
there's a
need or want all that. So
Absolutely. There's a
um,
great market for the 500 as well.
I always liked that Honda, the CBX 500. Which I know that's kind of being phased out. But I always thought Honda, they could have leaned into some of these smaller. But hey, it's means better opportunity for you guys,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of opportunity out there, I think.
Yeah.
And
So getting
you'll see a couple other things come available too that'll be pretty exciting. And I guess I can probably let you in on that as well. Coming from us, you'll see a Tornado 500 version. It exists in the market as a 550 at the moment.
okay.
But if you do a quick little search on that, you'll see a very attractive full fairing sport bike. And then something a little smaller, BKX 300, kind of smaller displacement, very entry level ADV.
Yeah. But it's still cool. I think you need that entry level bike in the ADV segment that
Uh,
is lightweight enough that, is not intimidating,
right.
you
Yeah,
know.
the ADV market, the cost of entry is high.
Yeah,
And then the bikes are big, like you mentioned, right? So I
they're
think
heavy. They're kind of they feel more, well, a lot of them are more street bike than they are off-road, but if you're looking at just riding dirt roads, not necessarily single track trail
right,
riding with them.
right. Yeah, so I think that's going to be a big hit. It's a little bit smaller displacement, a little bit physically smaller. And I think it's going to be a good thing for people who want to try it out and maybe don't want to spend that kind of dough to try it.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's going to be a good thing. Or they're just intimidated by the size, we mentioned a couple times.
Well,
The
yeah, I
size is
mean,
they're just big.
a lot of the bikes, that was always been my big thing with the dual sports. Like, it's hard to find one that, I'm short, I'm like 5'6", so it's like hard to find something that you feel comfortable on, that you can put your feet down comfortably on. I can fit on them. Like, I can put a leg over a KLR and reach the ground, but it's not like I'm going to go trail riding with it
Doesn't
or
inspire
anything.
confidence with a short
No.
guy. I know
Yeah.
that.
So, especially if you get one kind of leaned over and you got to, oh God, try to pick it up. But yeah, so, Benelli, you come in, you've got the deal with Benelli's, the owner, importer. Well, you're the owners, essentially.
Right.
So, and then Keeway, you've got quite a line of it's mostly scooter focused on Keeway, right?
Correct. And going forward, you'll see some addition of that. We're looking at a couple of 50cc models as well. We've got one that I think we've got our eye on that we're going to bring in. Those we manufacture with partners. Again, separate than QJ. We manufacture those with some other partners. And then some of that stuff's going to be manufactured in our facilities as well.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
And then that V302, you'll see that line kind of expand
Share that.
under a different brand name, and we'll have a lot more models in that line as well.
Yeah, so your V302, which I think again is a pretty unique bike, is a small displacement V twin. I'd like to hear how this sounds. I think
It
it'd
sounds
be
pretty good.
pretty.
I'll get a video when we're done, and I'll send it
Yeah,
over to you. It sounds pretty good.
but so you're going to have more, working with this partner that are on kind of more the motorcycle brand, not necessarily scooter side of Keyway.
Correct. The partner's name is Benda, and we'll be the distributor for that in the US. And under that brand, you'll see a pretty broad selection of motorcycles like this that goes from pretty low displacement into some pretty high displacement stuff. But I don't want to say high displacement, larger displacement.
Yeah.
There was some big stuff out there, right? But into some larger displacement. And I think everybody's going to be really excited about what these guys have to offer in that cruiser market, in that cruiser segment.
Yeah. I mean, I think having a nice mid-range cruiser is nice, and then also with your sport bike, so really covering a lot of ground here. Any thoughts on a full off-road segment at all, or you're staying away from
Yeah.
off-road?
Yeah, so at the moment we're working with the developers there. It's a conversation that's going on. It's not something that's going to be in our immediate future. It doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily fit in our Benelli line. Doesn't necessarily fit in the Keyway line. We're not exactly sure how that fits with us, but it is a big segment. It's fairly saturated at the moment, but
true.
there could be an opportunity for something that doesn't exist in the market. So it is a conversation at the Keyway group, and we'll keep the world updated as we do anything with that.
Yeah. So, uh, as far as like then Morbidelli, we were talking about, and they're coming in. When will we see bikes from them rolling out?
Sure. So that's a recent acquisition from the Keyway Group. Morbidelli will you'll start to see that stuff ASAP in the global market coming into the US probably in the next 6 months.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be good. So with the any other brands, I mean, it seems like you've got like a lot of irons in the fire working with this
We
partner, that partner. You
we
got
do.
multiple keyway, you guys seem to be on the move.
We do. We are excited. We're excited to be in the US, and we're excited for our journey here, we're we're kind of we're kind of back at square one with our separation from distribution, but it's
Gotcha.
okay. We're kind of redeveloping our dealer network, working as hard as we can, kind of working tirelessly here. I don't think everybody kind of sees what goes on behind the scenes, but putting in some long hours and just on the phone all day and whatever it
It's like
takes.
the phone grows out of your ear, you need one of those
We're doing it,
Bluetooth things.
exactly. But yeah, we do have a lot of irons in the fire, and I think people are going to be very excited about our full lineup once it's kind of complete. Or I say complete. It may never be complete, or it's going to be a
Right.
constantly evolving. But for what our current plan is, when that offering is complete, I think Keeway America is going to be a very attractive partner for dealers.
And now you've already got a little, somewhat of a dealer network set up, right? I mean, I was on
Sure.
your dealer network page, your find a dealer page, and I've got two of them in Ohio already. So,
Sure. We identified some of the dealers who were dealers before. We had to kind of revet, we had to go through a process of revetting dealers
mhm,
and then targeting dealers that we want to do business with in the future, or who we think might be a good partner for us, or we're a good partner for them. Ultimately, we want to make sound decisions. We want the dealers to to make a sound investment when they're talking to us. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, it's the right dealer in the right area with the right clientele. We don't want to stick something, where it doesn't belong, and then, dealer's not very happy with their experience with Keyway.
right. I think that's the key for Keyway, pardon the pun there, but having it's got to work for both sides, right? So,
Yeah,
just having a dealer there that maybe as a matter of fact, I think one of my local dealers here, they're mainly off-road, but they had a Vespa line just because they could,
sure.
maybe it's like, well, we'll take a shot on it, whatever,
Right.
you know, but is that really the right fit for if you're mainly focused on selling off-road, for instance, and you're carrying a brand that may be outside of that pocket, you know, so you got to find those dealers that kind of fit into what you do and kind of your motto and your value system and all that. As
Right.
much as they want to vet you guys, you have to vet them too.
Exactly. And we really love, I want to learn all about everybody. Because these guys, they may say, hey, no, we do fit in this. Let me tell you how. And we don't know it, right? I'm looking at a map and I go, that's in the middle of nowhere. And I don't,
Right.
and I really need to talk to those guys so that we can learn about their businesses and really see how we can be a fit, if we can be a fit, and how we can be a fit, and become great partners.
Right. Right. Yeah. So it's kind of a starting point of a conversation really when they kind of reach out and you're like, okay, because yeah, some of these dealers in the middle of nowhere do pretty darn well.
They do.
you know, because they're kind of maybe the only game in town. They don't have as many, you can't go across the street to get
Exactly.
another brand, so I think that kind of helps. But so what's coming up next for Keyway America? What are you guys looking for and toward in the future, the rest of this year? What are your big strategy goals that you can share with us that you want to share?
Sure. Yeah, I think our big strategy goals right now is really heavy on the product development side. We really want to get the right models into the U.S. for this market. We want to make sure we kind of hit the nail on the head. We kind of have to. So we want to be successful with the models that we're bringing in. So we have, the full lineup of Benelli already on its way. We have a couple of models I mentioned that are going to be kind of additional support that you'll see either, end of this year or very early next year. You're going to see a release on the Morbidelli line. If you go to Morbidelli at the moment, you will see the model that we're going to enter the US with, the T1002VX. It's another kind of ADV, but not quite. It definitely has a little more of the Italian and racing kind of styling to, a nod to the heritage of that name. And then you'll see some other models come up in that lineup that are, I think, going to be very unique to this market. And I think that entire brand is going to do very well for us. Like I said, on the scooter side, I think there are still some opportunities out there, but I think we've pretty much nailed that one. Scooter dealers have been very, very enthused about our lineup, and we've been doing very well with that. So
I mean, it looks like
and
quality scooters, and
they're great.
scooters are a very small niche though here, which is too bad. Like we were talking, I love scooters. I'm a scooter guy myself, and
Right.
I like it all, but I find the scooter is just the most practical and it's fun. It's cheap. I'd still get a smile on my face, when I'm just out, just scooting around town and picking up groceries in the thing. And I'm like, hey, I'm on two wheels. All
Yeah,
you suckers are in a cage.
absolutely. We just, like I said, we went last week on Friday to visit a dealer at, 30, 40 miles from here, but we made a day ride out of it. And we took one of those 300s down. The 60s model is a 300cc. And the shop owner, he owns a scooter shop, went out for a ride on that thing and came back. I was just, that guy rides scooters all day long, every day, right?
Yeah,
And he came up with a big smile on his face. He's pumped about it. So
that's
uh,
awesome.
yeah, I think we really nailed it. But I think, our strategy for the rest of this year really hit the mark on our models and our lineup. And then we're really out there working to identify great partners and partner up with those partners, and so that we can set our sights on 2025 and beyond. Kind of a long-term thing,
Yeah.
not a today thing.
And Morbidelli, going back to that for a little, how it was dormant for a few years, right? It was kind
Until
of not doing anything for a while, and
exactly.
you guys kind of picked it up out of the dustbin here. So,
Yeah, I
but
think it
it's a
made a
good
little.
name.
Yeah, the name's been around for a long time, 1934, and just even more than the name, even more than the motorcycles, people know the name, right, from the racing,
Right.
its racing heritage. Really, really phenomenal story,
They built
of
a
Jan
really
Farlow.
weird V8 powered super bike here, which,
Exactly right. I don't think very many of them were produced. I think the cost was pretty
yeah.
outrageous, and I think there was like four or something like that were made. But yeah, really an incredible machine. Really an incredible story, and a guy that just absolutely passionate about this industry, about racing. The legacy his kids went on to do it, and just a really great story and a really great name. So yeah, we acquired that, and I think as long as we kind of stay true to that, racing heritage, that styling, and that story, I think we're going to do well with that brand.
No, I think I find that a lot of these small Italian brands, I'm a go-kart racer,
Okay. Yeah.
try to be reformed, but all the good they're all made in Italy. The cart I have was made in Italy by a company that manufactured ladders. Like that was their main business, but their kid
Okay.
was into go-kart racing, and they had all the tooling and equipment. But like Morbidelli, these guys were like craftsmen.
Right.
They had little shops and they were good machinists, and they weren't necessarily businessmen, I don't think,
Right.
back in those days.
Just out of passion.
But there was a lot of passion for it. They wanted to race. They built these really cool bikes.
They probably got a lot of encouragement and aspiration from Benelli, right? They're right in the same town.
That's true. Oh,
Both
yeah.
from Pesaro. So
Is that where they're from the same area? What is that, like
yeah.
northern? I don't even
Yeah.
know where some of that is, but it just
They were essentially neighbors.
okay.
So yeah.
So they know
right
each
in the
other
exact
pretty
same
well.
area.
Okay. Very cool. That's an interesting note. I just watched on a plane ride out west. I watched that movie Ferrari, with Adam Driver in it, and
Right.
just kind of how that was built. And it was, I mean, he was just this passionate Italian guy, wanted to build race cars. And I see a lot of these Italian brands kind of came out of that same sort of mold. It was like one guy is kind of driving this whole thing, and but it's cool that the name and kind of the ideology and the passion behind it can live on, even if it's not the same company necessarily, but to kind of bring that into the modern 21st century and
Right.
give people a chance to see a modern version of it, is pretty neat. And a lot of these, like Morbidelli, they raced a lot of small bikes back then, so
Right.
where do you see like the small bike market in the US right now? Do you think, I see that as obviously more entry level, but it's a good way to get beginners, but there's a lot of seasoned riders that like these small bikes. I mean, it's sometimes more fun to go fast on a small bike than to, try to manage a big bulky bike. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You see the guys going to track days, right? I feel like more and more you see guys, that might have had a 600 or a 750 or a 1000 maybe, and then you see them on a lot smaller bike. It's so one, the cost of entry again is friendlier. I think motorcyclists have gotten older overall.
Yeah.
So I think the cost of entry for younger people who are not necessarily interested in it was kind of just out of reach. It's like, that's just too much money.
Right.
I'm interested in it, but not that much. So
Right.
now I think there's a way to get into it. I'm interested in it. Let me go check it out. I can get into a bike for $3,500, $5,000 for a pretty nice bike. So I think that really is changing the landscape. I also think people are using it in a more practical way. That it's not necessarily just, just a lifestyle thing anymore. I think some people are using them to commute, getting around school, things like that. So now, there's a small and physically friendlier as well, right? Smaller CC bikes just physically are a little bit friendlier. So you get a lot more people that are not quite as intimidated, right? That because, like I said, the riders, the enthusiasts, we've gotten old, and the young market is there's a young market out there that didn't seem interested for a long time.
And I think that you're kind of hitting the nail on the head there, that a lot of the young people were too intimidated. Hey, the bikes were too expensive. They're too big. They had already evolved into the riders from the 70s, 80s, 60s, when and you look at the bikes of the 60s when they came in, I feel like we're almost kind of going back to those times where we've got some of these smaller bikes, some of these bikes that, Italian names you haven't heard of. You got, some British brands coming back in, and just, and it's making it more, I don't know. I think it's just more exciting for the young people that, it's affordable enough and it's small enough. You're going to get on. I think we're kind of moving beyond the stage of like I have to have the latest Harley to get to be cool and accepted by my friends and all this kind of stuff. It's like these kids, they're going to ride what they want. I mean, you
Right.
know.
And I think there's a really great reception of other brands that are not the brands that we know just forever, right? We've known Yamaha, and Honda, and Suzuki,
Yeah.
and Kawasaki forever. They're great brands, right? We've known them forever. And the older riders, the guys, you know, the guys, the guys, we've been riding
Yeah.
forever.
You
It
can
was
say it.
hard. It
I'm
was
old.
hard
I
for
get
us.
it. I'm old.
It was hard for us to kind of embrace those brands. I think with this younger generation, the smaller displacements, you know, brands that necessarily aren't those names in the US, they are names in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
And I think the reception of that is a little bit different. You know, it's a better reception than maybe some of those brands we're seeing in the past. Those brands had a really high wall, a really high
Yeah.
barrier to get into the market here, and I
It's
think
really
that
tough
has
entry
come.
for, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's come way down. You know, we could probably sit here and name off a handful of brands that are just doing really well here that we just never would have thought. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
can think of a few, and you know, it's exactly. I think that, you know, for one, they had that barrier. Everyone was like, if you didn't, you're in the horsepower wars, you know, building the top. You know, I got to have the baddest sport bike now.
right,
Well, guess what? They ended up building themselves almost into oblivion because
right,
nobody can ride those things. You know,
right,
they're
yeah.
super nice. You know,
And you still
yeah, if you
you
want
still
a
got to ride
rocket
it.
ship for the street, you know,
Right,
or a track day bike only, but you know, there's only a few, you know, really skilled pilots that can ride those things and really extract a lot out of them.
that's not
So
a
to come back to like, let's build stuff that people want and can have fun with, you know,
right.
and ride, and it's successful. You don't need 1200 cc's to do that either. But I mean, you know, sometimes
I did it on 300 on a 300cc scooter on Friday, and I had an
Oh,
absolute blast.
yeah, I got a 125 and I love it. You know, it's just like that. You know, yeah, you don't need that full displacement to have fun and to get enjoyment out of riding on
Or to
two
get
wheels.
around,
And that's,
you know, or to get around
yeah,
these things, you know, 300 cc motorcycle, 450s, 500s, 550s. I mean, they're enough to get around, you know, and I
yeah.
think you're seeing a lot of manufacturers coming down in displacement, you know, and really,
That's true. They're kind of catering more to this entry level kind of. I think that's maybe one of the things that came out of the pandemic, you know, was just that, hey,
right.
there's new people coming in. A lot of people just want to test out, you know, and yeah, let's get them on bikes. And then, you know, if they want to buy bigger stuff later, that's fine too. We'll, you know,
We have that too.
move. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Exactly.
you guys are going to be there too. Well, you already
Right.
have that with Benelli. And you know, I'm sure you're gonna get to that point too with Keeway and Morbidelli. I'm really interested to see how what unfolds out of there too. So yeah, keep us posted for sure. I want to thank you so much for joining us today, though. Yeah, I mean it's been great having you on. I learned a lot from our conversation offline here, which we won't talk about all of that, but you know, there, you know, just a lot of things that you guys are doing right now. It seems like an exciting time for Keeway America.
It is. It's an exciting time. We're very excited to bring these motorcycles and scooters into the market in the U.S. You know, we're excited to become partners with dealers, and you know, we'll see where this goes over the next few years.
So what if a dealer wants to get a hold of you? What do they reach out to you on your website? You have how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can contact us on, you know, you'll see an email, phone number there. They can just they can contact me directly, sales@keewayamerica.com. They'll get me, and we'll start working with them.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
sounds great.
absolutely.
Louis, and yeah, keep us abreast of any new developments. We're always eager to hear any of the insider info and get the scoop on that. So keep us in mind for any new news that comes out.
We absolutely will. Thank you so much for having us on here. We're glad to tell our story a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. Well, have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan.
If you like this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. We also invite you to connect with us on powersportsbusiness.com.